Awesome. Well, I want to just kind of jump right to your testimony, if
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't mind, to just tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you got started with Playboy.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very religious household. One side was Catholic, the other side was Baptist. A lot of abuse. I was a child victim of sexual abuse. I was a child victim of physical abuse, a lot of trauma early on, so automatically I blame God. When we got out of that situation, I started going to a non-denominational church, and I just saw a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of things in the church that didn't make sense to me, that it still felt like it was like my former home life. And so as a young teenager, that rebellion kicked in and I left the church and I kind of became like super spiritual where, maybe Hinduism is real, maybe Buddhism is real, looking at other things, maybe I didn't know Jesus. I knew that there was a God but that was the extent of it because I didn't have a prayer life. So I never saw that in the church. That's when I started underage drinking and smoking and partying and dating older guys and just a lot of feeling that needed to be done that it wasn't getting done, even though I went through like anger management and secular counseling. I even went through hypnosis therapy, and nothing seemed to really heal me from my childhood abuse. I ended up getting pregnant at 19. So I had my daughter at 20. I was pregnant at 19, had my daughter at 20, went through a divorce with her dad well, we got married at 21, when I was 21, left him 2 weeks after the wedding, but we didn't get divorced until about 2 years later, and it was just in a short amount of time, I just had all these issues, and drinking and smoking was just my outlet, and so fast forward, I meet my husband, Tyler. We have 2 kids now, but at the time, this would have been 2018, he was sending me videos of this preacher evangelist guy. And I never watched him, I never opened it, he kept sharing with me, like, "You really need to watch this guy's, like, on fire, like, this guy's testimony is crazy, like, you need to see what he's doing," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, not for me." Just I had so many walls up against God and anything God, I hated Christians, hated the church, I was like, "Yeah, no." Fast forward to COVID timeframe, I was one of those people that got saved in COVID. In March 2021, I'm in my living room smoking marijuana, go to turn on YouTube, and there's that guy my husband talked about so many years prior. And I was like, all right, let me just see what this guy's about because he did not look like a Christian. And it was an hour and 45-minute long testimony video of his. And within 10 minutes, my high was gone. And I'm still trying to smoke because my high disappeared somehow. I was on my knees crying, which never happened because I wasn't just not a crier. I had so many walls up, and something in me just stirred where I was like, "This is so real,
Mhm.
just so real." And oh, I didn't talk about Playboy, sorry. So I did Playboy. I did play I got so excited to talk about God. I did Playboy in 2019,
Okay.
and I was one of the party girls for Playboy, so that I would fly out to either LA, there was one in Miami, there'd be shows in New York, just wherever they needed me to go, and I'd fly out and be just their model party girl, so I'd be wearing club attire, and it was just a very I mean, you've seen it in clubs, it's just a toxic lifestyle, it really wears you down, and that my coping with it was, again, smoking and drinking because I didn't want to go do these things, but I felt like I kinda had to, and I wasn't like, I had no self-worth, and that was my self-worth and my identity. But I got saved, and when I had that encounter in 2021 with the Lord, I mean, within 2 weeks, I threw away he told me to stop smoking, stop drinking, I threw away all my martini glasses, all my liquor, threw away my bong, I have a medical marijuana card that I keep, it's expired, but I keep it just to show people, like, I literally was a pothead. I would wake up and smoke, go to sleep smoking, like, I was high 24/7, and I threw all that away because the Lord was healing me slowly and showing me that I don't have to rely on alcohol, I don't have to rely on men, I don't have to rely on smoking, that I need to rely on Him and build that faith and trust with Him. Brittany shared in her I saw it in your TikTok, part of her testimony, that, God was teaching her to that He was faithful and to trust her, she was talking about that she would pray and say, "I need this amount of money," and she'd go and she'd make that amount of money, even though it's not a godly living what she was previously doing, but the Lord was still showing up and working and changing her heart posture towards him, and that's kinda how I felt with my healing process as well.
I totally get that, and like you said, when you were watching that testimony, how you sobered up right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the presence of the Lord will do that, and I kinda had a
Mhm.
similar thing where the drugs and alcohol were no longer I was no longer feeling good
Yeah.
when I would do them, and I just felt like
Mhm.
he kept showing me, like, he was better, and then it kinda took that desire away from me, to even wanna get high and drink because it was no longer, like, scratching that itch that it once did. Did you kinda have that journey afterwards, with letting go of those things altogether, or what was that like for you?
So shockingly, I mean, I let it go like that. God said no more. It was funny. I was because a lot of Christians I know still smoke and drink.
Yeah.
And I was still smoking because this is just got baptized. It's been not even a full 2 weeks, and I made a Snapchat, and I'm smoking a blunt, and I was like, "I'll keep smoking until God tells me not to." And he sure did so quick. I didn't even know anything about hearing to the Holy Spirit, anything yet. I mean, I'm baby Christian, and less than 24 hours, God's like, I go and turn on that evangelist guy that I saw a testimony, and he had a video where he was evangelizing to some guy at the gym, and they brought up marijuana, had nothing about marijuana in the description, and I was like, "All right, God," and I told my husband thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy. They still think I'm crazy, because I was so I had a I that was my life. Marijuana was my life. That's how I coped with stress, with everything, and I threw it all away because the Lord told me to, and I knew it was from the Lord because it made no sense how, supernaturally that could happen. You turn a video on, it says nothing about marijuana, but yet the Lord's speaking to me through it, and it was powerful.
Gosh, yeah, he will, like, find us anyway, any
Yeah,
speaks, he will
he definitely we will, and same thing with drinking, because my husband would still drink every now and again, and I started tailoring back, but I still had friends that would still go to bars, and I'm in that same 2-week period, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'll have a martini or so," and it was just this wasn't it's, like, not what I wanted, like, I felt like this isn't what Jesus would do, even though, like, we hear the story, Jesus sat with sinners. Yeah, he sat with sinners, but he didn't sin, and the sinners end up changing, and I was like, there has to be more than what I was seeing on the surface, that I wanted to dive deeper into what the word said and what Jesus really had in store for me, and I knew partying and alcohol just was not it.